What I wanna get my opinionated peeps. So, based on the last video that I brought you, a lot of one did love how Krystal get into the reasoning. And I decided, you know what? Since you all love Krystal so much, why not continuously bring her voice of reasoning tone so you can hear the positivity that Krystal is speaking right now. Krystal is trying to do this as much as often this year because she has a following that loves when time she comes with her positive words, right? And in this video right here, trust me, it's a great one. Krystal is talking about the going through this year and how she copes with it and giving advice on how you can also do the same. Right now, people, listen, this is going to be a great reasoning, so just sit back, relax, and listen, and also talk to us down in the comment section. Let us know what you think about everything that Krystal has to say right here. All right, if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button, and remember, keep coming back for more. All right, let's see what Krystal has to say.
We come into the world with a blank slate. We don't know anything. We don't expect and anticipate anything. And we learn through interactions in our environment, examples from the adults in our life that we trust, and just, learning as you go, just watching how people treat you, watching how people treat people. And we get to understand certain things, and it helps us to develop rules about life. So we know whether or not we're going to trust somebody based on how we saw someone's trust being breached when we were children. We know whether or not we're going to love somebody based on the standards we have set and the definitions we have come to accept about what love looks and feels like. We know whether or not we're going to go into a business interaction with someone based on what we know about business. When my mother was in business with this person, this did happen to her, so me not gonna do that. When my uncle and my auntie did start this business in this way, them did do it this way and it works, so me I gonna do that. And we use those examples to kind of build our reality. It tells us what works, what doesn't work, and what we are going to try. So we are picking up cues in our environment, and that's why you have to be so careful what you're doing around children, because they are also learning to set their own principles and standards based on what you're doing, and saying, and how what you say and what you do align or misalign. So as children, we're learning, as we go through life, we're learning what to prioritize and what principles we should observe as we engage in business, in parenting, in education and schooling, when we're choosing which job and career to explore. Just everything we're picking up from our environment. Now, as you grow, those principles are either going to mature with you or you're going to outgrow them. So you'll realize that, boy, mommy did take that approach with financial planning. Me not believe in that principle here where you must pay every bill first, and then whatever left you put in your savings. I want to save first and then cover the bills with what is left, as an example. So we look at the principles that we were taught around money, and we say, I don't like this principle. How I understand money and what I know about finances and investment and things like that. I want to change how I manage money. Boy, daddy used to have a little piggy bank, and me like piggy bank. Me like the idea of saving the coins. So here I'm going to get a little piggy bank. I'm going to also save my coins because I think every mickle make a muckle. That's a money principle, right? Now, maybe daddy didn't say, hi, son, hi, daughter. This is a money principle in this household. We believe that every mickle make a muckle, and so we're going to do this. So again, you learn it, whether you're conscious of it or unconscious, whatever it is you're doing with life is driven by principles, and those principles are instilled in you as you're growing up. Now, some principles we choose, right? Some of them, as we are experiencing life and we're making our decisions and we're seeing what works, what doesn't work, what we like, what we don't like, we say, oh, I'll never do that again. And so for me, this is a principle. I will never do that. Oh, I love that. I want to continue doing that. I will always, bam, 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 bam. And because principles are a mix, there are some that you design on your own and decide that you're going to have, and then there's some that are triggered by default. We just always grew up in this kind of rhythm and this behavior pattern that we maintain these principles even in adulthood without even thinking about it. So if you accept that your principles will inform your beliefs about yourself, about other people, about business, about trust, about everything, right? Your principles will determine the beliefs that you have. Those beliefs are then translated into behaviors. So you're going to act out the thing that you believe. If you believe that you are unworthy of being loved in a particular way, you're going to live a life that honors that belief. If you believe that money are not your thing, like you will never learn how to manage money, then you're going to live true to that belief, and the way you behave with money will show that you don't believe that you should have money. If you think that, you know, money is a defining factor in people's joy, happiness, wealth, and it's a principle for you to amass as much as possible, then you're going to treat money in that way. You're always going to want more. Your behavior is going to model that belief. So it moves from the principle that informs the belief that then drives the behavior. And then, of course, the more you repeat that behavior, it becomes a habit. Once those habits stick, you end up with this beautiful gift called your life, right? So you look around at your life and you go, oh my inner piesto, son, daughter, track back your behavior and say, what about your behavior led to these kinds of habits that delivered this life for you? And you can track a little deeper and say, well, what about my beliefs that led to this behavior, that led to this habit, that led to this life? And you just go back and you say, well, what about my principles that led to these beliefs, that led to these behaviors, that led to these habits, that led to this life that I have? And you can, with certainty, pick up a foundational principle of your life that has been driving the belief, the behavior, the habit, delivering this gift called life. And it works the same way for good things. When you say, boy, I always have great friends that I can lean on. And when I do something, I always attract good people. Just look back, you know, you have a lot of good friends. What are the habits you have around friendship? You know, what are the behaviors you have? And the beliefs about friendship that drive those behaviors that lead you to have these kinds of friendships. What are the principles that you hold that drive those beliefs, that cause you to behave that particular way, to develop that habit that delivers these kinds of friends in your life? And you can find a foundation principle about friendship that is leading you to create healthy, long-lasting, reliable friendships. So it works both ways, positive and negative. The foundation of our decision making, of the behaviors that we have, come from our principles. So you have to ask yourself what those principles are. And for 2021, because we're talking about driving behavior, changing behavior, improving behavior, developing the right habits, becoming the best versions of ourselves, you can't start with the car, the house, the promotion, the this, the that. Hold on. Before you get to the life that you want, right? Can we establish the principles you have? Especially because you don't want to be striving for goals that are not aligned with your principles. And sometimes the visioning exercise doesn't honor that. Like, we just ask people what you want. You know, what do you think you should have? What's your big dream, your wildest desire? Versus saying to them, well, what are your principles? What do you value? Because if you don't value a house, let's say you are a nomad, right? And you like to travel. You don't value a house. Having a house somewhere is not something that you aspire towards, because you really see a future going all over the world, kind of backpacking through all the countries in the world, and Airbnb is going to be your best friend. Asking somebody, you know, what the house you live in, what you want it to look like as they begin a visioning process, doesn't honor their core values and principles. So you have to begin first with, what do you value? You know, what are my principles? I just saw a comment here from Shanika. Oh, well, let me check if I have your email on the system, because that's important. I realized that I have a particular number of confirmations for the course in my email, and then when I look on the back end, it's short one. So I'm not saying it's yours that is short. So I'm going to check for your name, if this is the correct and full name. SHANIKASOLAN. I'll check for that on the back end and see if I have your email address, and I'll just duplicate the email that we had sent after Monday's class, because we had shared the link there for our WhatsApp group. So if you didn't get the email, it means you're not in our WhatsApp group, and we want it in the WhatsApp group, Shanika. Okay, so I'm gonna check. Don't worry, I'm gonna check on it for you. And if I see any kind of hiccups, of course I'll send a note to you via DM if email doesn't work. But really sorry about that. I don't know what would have caused it. Oh, delish. Thank you. I don't want you to leave over here. Thank you. So it's important then to ask, before you start planning and plotting this life that you want, what do I value? If I value peace, how do I set goals that honor peace? And if there are situations that I can't escape or get out of, how do I build peace into that process that I can't move, that job that I can't change right now, that, you know, reality that I'm stuck in? How do I build peace around it so I can find and enjoy the thing I value? So it's always important to start with values, principles, the foundation on which things are going to be built. Not just because you want to be consistent with values and goals, but it's so important to know what you stand for, so that in moments when life poses that question of either or, are you really who you say you are? You can look back at the value and say, the decisions I make are consistent with my values. The choices I'm making are consistent with my values or my principles. And if you don't know what the principles are, we will make them up as we go. So we stay as human beings, right? So if one day say, boy, me value wealth generation and wealth creation, I believe that I must leave a legacy of wealth behind for my children. That's how me believe. Yeah, me save 10% of my income, me invest the other 10, and me give the other 10 to charity, because God gonna multiply and put in the pot to give other people. I'm all about generating that wealth. And then you start to do something else, right? You're not saving the 10%, you're not investing the 10%, you're not giving anything to charity, you're not thinking about the legacy you're leaving behind. And then you go, well, this is because I really believe that the Lord will provide for me, so I just need to take the decision in at the moment and just do what is good for me now, and then God will figure it out for me in the future. If you had a principle on wealth, then when you're doing the thing that doesn't match the principle, you can be honest with yourself and say, boy, I'm violating this principle here. Come now, catch yourself, be accountable, and do the thing that you know you're supposed to do, the thing that you value, the thing that you say you believe and stand on as a principle. So it helps you to be consistent, honest, and accountable to yourself. Like, even if nobody knows that you're violating the principle, the point is you know, and then you will start to take the right kinds of corrective action to get back on your principle platform, on your principled track, in your principled lane, doing your principled thing, and developing that life based on principles. So that in the end, the life that you end up with is the life that you want, and it's the life that you love. So that in the process, if you realize that you're not getting where you need to get, you can ask yourself, but is that because I'm forcing myself to take actions that are not aligned with my principles? Is that because my principles have changed and I didn't realize that them changed, and I'm still trying to tie myself to principles that I have outgrown, and so I feel uncomfortable here when I really shouldn't, because my principles changed and I like to be here or not be here, whatever it is. But it helps you to stay accountable and stay clear on who you are as you're figuring life out. And one of the things we like to say is, life doesn't come with a manual. We are figuring it out as we go, and we have to give ourselves permission to figure it out as we go. And one of the things I've learned, and I hold this one very, very close to me, is if I start out with some principles at the start of each year, I have to be clear how I'm going to approach this year on the fronts that will be most challenging, where I'm going to need courage, and how I'm going to deal with feelings of fear, especially because I live let me not say that, because I don't think I live a public life. There are a lot of things in my life that just, they're nowhere in the public. So I shouldn't say I live a very public life, but the public has interest in my life, which would be the appropriate phrasing. My sister helped me to frame it that way a couple of weeks ago when we were talking. She's like, it's not that it is public, it is the public has an interest in it, and so they will always be like, right? So understanding that, it will want you, it being the reality of a situation, will have you, kind of going, it was supposed to, and then I'm going to think, and then I'm going to say, not going to do it. Because I understand that fear, because that's really what it is, fear will want to come and say, but the people, them, are going to say, and them are going to this, so don't do it. I don't want fear to stop me from honoring my principles, reaching for my goals, taking hard decisions, doing the thing that my spirit calls me to do, living purposefully, living honestly, and living authentically. So I have to decide for myself, when I feel fear, what am I going to do? So that in the moment that I'm not doing the thing that I said I'm going to do, when I start to feel the fear, I can go back at my principle and say, boy, we violate that principle here. We can't go and violate it, but we not violate it again. I'm going to live true to this principle, and it helps to keep me accountable. So I've learned that it works for me, and that's why I share it with you. And we're also sharing it inside our community of Gladiators for 2021 Life on Purpose Masterclass. So this is week 1 that we're in. We're doing our self-love challenge right now, and really wrapping up preparations for our vision board and battle board exercises. I'm really looking forward to that. If you don't have a vision board as yet, jump in, join us. January is our month for priming, preparing ourselves to start sowing the right seeds in the soil. So it's not too late if you are looking for an opportunity to lean into the wisdom of your collective, because we all have different lessons that we're learning in life, and persons can share their wisdom and their knowledge with us to our benefit. There's a quote we use in our book club that, you should always try to read books. I'm paraphrasing here. Read books because it allows you to figure out and receive the lessons that people had to live a hard life to figure out. So you don't have to go through all of that to learn what they know. And I find that that's going to be the real power behind our purpose posse, our gladiator community, that we're able to share the wisdom and the key learnings as we go to kind of build each other up as we try to figure out life after the kind of year that we've had. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. Definitely going to save the life, guys. What I may end up doing in future is just kind of putting them over the IGTV section, so my page don't look like a live late page. I need to work on my training for comedy. Okay, yeah, I'm working on it. But if you look at my page and you don't see, just click that IGTV button. It's gonna be there. And
unstoppable you, unstoppable you, unstoppable you.